Hello and welcome back to another episode of 9 Season 2009 here on MotoGP 22, and today we are here for the 10th round of the 2009 season for the British Grand Prix at Donington. Now unfortunately this was actually the final ever Grand Prix at Donington, a much better track than Silverstone if you ask me, but we'll get straight into the description here. Having staged the British Grand Prix since 1987, Donington Park is at its last appearance in the World Championship. In 2010, races will move to Silverstone. It's a chance for the riders to make their mark on the Roll of Honour for the last time. So the game is also making a fairly big deal about it being the last race. It was a very chaotic and strange race as well. It's one of those kind of iconic races, Dovizioso's first ever victory. So it'll be interesting to see who we actually have to play as and what we've got to do. Now I'm not quite sure why it says we've already unlocked a Punier. I don't know whether we already will have unlocked him in the previous challenge, or whether it's just a glitch, because you can see I haven't unlocked Dovizioso for 4 objectives, and I haven't played any of the Donington episodes, so I'm not sure why exactly it says that. But either way, we'll head into it now, and we'll see what the first episode is.
The English weather steps in to shake things up. Wet or dry, who knows? Stoner opts for wet tyres. The Australian is praying for rain. He's still in bad shape, and a wet race would be less demanding. It doesn't rain enough for the wet tyres to give Stoner an advantage. He finishes 14th. Pedrosa is a cautious 9th. Lorenzo and Rossi both crash. The conditions and the crashes give the other riders a shot at the podium. Colin Edwards and Andrea Dovizioso stick to the first principle of motorcycle racing. Stay on the bike. It might not mean so much, taking the lead without actually overtaking the guy in front. But a win is a win. Your first MotoGP victory lies 70 miles down this slippery road, if you can stay on the bike.
Well, this is going to be tough, because it's in the rain, and I've crashed immediately. I've literally crashed at the first corner. I was about to say this is going to be tough because it's in the rain, because these bikes here with the lesser traction control and all that stuff, and the AI being overpowered in the rain, I know it's going to be difficult, but it's going to probably be even more difficult than I would have thought. Now, I'm actually not sure whether we're going to actually have to overtake them on track, or whether we just have to stay on the bike and they will fall off in front of us, because it is programmed into the game for some of the AI to crash in some of these challenges, like they do in real life, so it might make them all crash, because obviously they did crash in real life. But if not, it's going to be tough, because the AI in the wet on this game are unreal. These 800s in the wet are going to be a massive handful. Although it is Donington Park, so it's a track I do like very much, but even that might not be enough on this occasion. So we've got 3 laps to do it in. We've got to finish first and win by half a second, apparently. We're stuck on this curb. What was that about? Alright, that was strange. This slip road also just ends, which it definitely doesn't do in real life. At least nowadays. I don't know whether it did back then, but there should have been a slip road all the way through the S's. But I think with us dropping down into 9th place, that's probably my attempt at this, this specific attempt completely gone. But I am just going to keep going around, because I want to get a gauge of how fast they are, and where I'm going to be able to overtake them, so I'm going to probably just keep going around for a lap or 2. Well, I went around for a couple more laps, and it seems they're very strong, to be honest, pretty much everywhere. On the brakes, they're pretty weak, and through this section, it's their weakest section, actually. But especially through the crater curves and stuff, they are really, really good. Like, they can go sort of full throttle through there, and I've got to roll like a lot to actually turn the bike through there. So it does seem like they've got a huge grip advantage, which is usually what you expect in these conditions in this game. So we're just going to have to try and capitalise on the few areas where we are going to be stronger than them, and that's mainly this last sort of sector, because on the brakes, into the chicane, and obviously both hairpins as well, the Melbourne Loop and Goddard's, they are super weak, so we've got to capitalise on them there if we can. We should have an advantage into Redgate as well by that same token, but out of the corner, they're just unreal. They're so fast. They have so much more grip than us, and I've just closed it to them way too much into Redgate. And yep, that is another attempt gone. I always find it quite funny how this game playing in the rain always reminds me of the old MotoGP games, with like the old AI mods we used to have, and basically they used to just give the AI more grip, which made them way quicker on the track. And that's pretty much what this is like. It's just an unintended side effect, I guess, of the wet conditions. I don't really know why it happens. I imagine it's probably something to do with the fact that AI probably crash too much if they don't have additional grip given to them. but it makes them so difficult to beat. Because they're so good out of corners, through corners, that the only place they're still bad is into corners, and that's where you really cannot push. Because you just fall off, you just lose the front, so it is definitely a slippery slope. Oh, this last lap was so good. We did catch right and look, we put 4 seconds into Toseland behind, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough, so we're going to have to go again. So I did learn a couple of things from completing that whole challenge last time. Obviously, one of those is sort of how to be fast, so I'm just getting more up to speed with the track. I'm using a better traction control setting, better power mode setting in a few places. And I did see that I was able to be quicker than them on some laps if I rode better. However, I also noticed that they close up to Elias, which does hold them up. They start trying to battle with Elias. Elias kind of holds them up. So if I can actually stay within a decent range of them, then maybe I can do something. So I just got the fastest lap, so I did lap quicker than them on that lap. You can see they do go a bit wide through Red Gate, so I'm sticking with them for now. This is exactly what I need to do. Right, I'm right on him here. I've got to pass him into L1 loop. I've not really got much of a choice. Up the inside of Antino we go. Right, up the inside of Rossi. Hope he doesn't turn on me. Hope he doesn't turn on me. Right, try and get the power here. Try and see if we can get Lorenzo. I'm gonna try and do both of these into the last corner, I think, to be honest. Inside Lorenzo and the inside of Elias at the same time. Elias tips in. Elias really is tipping in on me. We've got the inside Lorenzo's trying to come through now, which is the worst thing that could happen. I'd rather Elias be the lead AI, but side by side we're using that power mode 3. We've actually overtaken them, so right, this is where it becomes crucial now. I've got to make sure that I hit my apexes, even perhaps go a little bit defensive in a couple of places, because they will barge me out the way if they're faster. 0.5 seconds, I'm not too bothered about that, to be honest. I'm just going to keep trying, but hopefully they'll battle and hold each other up. Well, I put one hell of a last lap together there. I think they must have battled a bit, but we got 0.8 over them, so we've actually managed to get both objectives there. But I tell you what, I wouldn't have been able to do that without studying them. Really, I knew that in the last couple of sectors, they were quite weak. So obviously the chicane to the end of the lap, they were very, very weak on the corner entry. I knew there was around about a second in there, but they pulled that same gap sort of in the first sector. So I knew that if I was leading them in the first sector and they didn't manage to pass me, then it was it. I've done it because they weren't going to be able to pass me anywhere else. So I knew if I passed them right in the last corner, I'd just be able to do it. But it was, we had to be so aggressive. But they're so weak on the brakes, you could just exploit it a little bit. And if you get most of your braking done in the straight line, it's still fairly safe to brake quite hard in the wet on this game. But it's when you try and do it at a lean angle that it does come undone a little bit. And our AI's just crashed as I've said that as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So well done there, Dovey. Unfortunately, he managed to crash out of the race. He actually did win. But we'll head into the next episode now then. Hopefully it's a little bit easier, but you know what, it's always going to be hard because it's wet weather. So then, this time, we are still Davizioso, so it's part 2 of the same challenge. So it's actually part 2 of the same episode, sorry. So there's actually still 2 more episodes to come after this part. But it's pretty much the same thing, you see. We've got to pass Rossi, we've just got to beat him, but then we've also got to pass him before the 3rd lap, which, to be honest, considering how close we are now, is going to be relatively easy. I do find that sometimes these challenges do get significantly easier as they go on. Sometimes like they're really hard the first part and then the second part is really easy. Okay, I've messed that one up quite a bit into the chicane, but tell you what, we still beat Rossi there anyway. A bit of contact. And to be honest, as long as we don't mess up, I think that's that pretty much done. Obviously it is exactly the same pretty much, just riding around the same conditions against the same rider on the same bike still, so just pick up where I left off. So that challenge was pretty easy, to be honest. We've left Rossi in the dust by 4.5 seconds. And to be honest, I just kept riding how I was in the last one, and actually got even quicker, so I'm just getting quicker and quicker. Dobby's then again crashed at the first corner, so I don't know what keeps happening, why the AI keep crashing after the race. But compared to the first part of the challenge, that was super easy. You can see all the AI in the background are crashing actually, so I don't know exactly why that is. I think they're probably braking too much because the race is over as far as they're concerned. But we'll head on to the next episode now then, see which rider we've got to play as this time. Perhaps we'll have to play as Rossi, because obviously this would line up with the Rossi crash, so perhaps we'll have to go back to the pack as Valentino, but I guess we'll have to see. So actually, no, we're playing as Edwards, and what have we got to do? We've got to get in 3rd place and beat 4th place by at least 0.9. Well, where is everybody in front of us? There's got to be some crashes, surely, because De Angelis is the only rider anywhere near us, so I'm expecting some crashes, definitely. Unless they're just going to go really slowly. But I've got to get used to this Yamaha now. Feels weird. Yeah, Rossi's now down, so yeah, I would say that there is going to be some crashes ahead. He's down again as well. Is it going to just make him crash several times to actually equate to a real-life crash deficit? Potentially. I think this is the first time I'm actually on the Tech 3 as well. I don't think we've actually played on the Tech 3 Yamaha at all. But on the inside we go off De Angelis, so De Angelis sort of left the door open there, and we've managed to overtake it quite easily. So up next is Pedrosa, who's 5.8 seconds up the road. Again, there's surely got to be some more crashes, because we've only got 3 laps to catch 5.8 seconds, which would be a massive step up from the previous challenge, which was ridiculously easy. But it's interesting riding the Tech 3 Yamaha, because we've not ridden it yet at all in this series, as far as I'm aware anyway. I think it's probably just the same as the Fiat Yamaha, but you never know. They do sometimes make the satellite teams different in the game. They do make them perform slightly worse, so maybe that is the case here, but to be honest, I doubt it. It does feel quite familiar, although it does feel quite nimble, but I think that's probably just compared to the Honda, so the Yamaha probably is a better bike. So you can see we're on the last lap here. We can now see all the riders in front. We've closed a lot up to Pedrosa, but we're still 2 seconds behind him. And Rossi and Depunier are absolutely miles, well, not miles ahead, but they're still a fair distance ahead of Pedrosa, so we're not going to beat any of these guys. We might be able to get Pedrosa at the last corner maybe if we do like a perfect second half of this lap, but to be honest, I don't really know what they expect us to do here. Maybe if I overtook De Angelis a little bit earlier, I could have done it, but to be honest, I overtook De Angelis literally at the second corner I probably could have done. But into the last corner, you can see Rossi has gone a bit wide. He's choked a bit, although I've choked and, well, I've actually fell off, but to be fair, I wasn't going to achieve that one anyway, so, well, fair enough, I've beat De Angelis still, even with a crash, so you can't really refute me at all. We're going to have to give this one another try, but why does the difficulty vary so much? Bear in mind as well, it wants you to put a second into them, so it wants you to catch those guys when they're a good 6-7 seconds up the road, and also put a second into them. So they want you to gain about 8 seconds in 4 laps, so I've got a lap about 2 seconds a lap quicker than these guys, which is absolutely ridiculous. And there we got the inside De Angelis. I'm going to pass him a corner earlier than last time. And I'm going to pick up a Chalamet's warning for my troubles. Oh well, I haven't really got the time to mess around. I've got 5.4 seconds to make up. And only 3 laps to do it in, really. A lot of these challenges are going to be sweaty today, so I apologise if there's not much commentary in the video. I'm about a lap ahead of where I was last time, so I actually might have a chance at this one. I don't really know what I've done differently, but perhaps it was just passing De Angelis that bit earlier. So we're right with Pedrosa starting this final lap. Dovizioso's just crashed out the lead. I don't think that's supposed to happen, but that might have changed things a little bit. Rossi didn't actually crash twice on this challenge either this time. So it's actually only Depunier ahead of Pedrosa. I'm going to pass Pedrosa somewhere. It's very, very strange. Up the inside of the old hairpin. No, not quite. Oh, we're going to actually be able to get Pedrosa possibly, but we're not going to be able to get Depunier. Look how far up the road he still is. Try to pass Pedrosa as early as we can in the lap, but it's just not going to happen. On the exit here, you can see they have slowed down, so I think it has slowed them down towards the end of this race. Maybe we can get him on the inside into Coppice. We've forced that to fit a little bit. It's not worked out for me at all. I think I thought we had him off there, but it does sound like he has stayed on the bike, but that's cost me a load of time. 1.6 behind Depunier, so we're not within strike range of him. We have literally goes right to Depunier. He's got wide as well. We've caught the inside of Randy Depunier. Somehow we've actually managed to pull that one down. I don't know how we've done that one, but I think we're actually going to pass this challenge here as long as I don't crash at this very last corner. I've not done it that well though, so we're not going to put that 0.9 into him. But you know what? That's a little bit unfair to ask for anyway. But up towards the line, we've managed to get 3rd place. But I tell you what, we have to gain a ridiculous margin on them. I just don't understand how you're expected to pass Rossi when you're literally right behind him in 4 laps, yet they give you the same distance to gain 6 seconds on like 2 different riders past them. That is actually ridiculous. And we were literally a 10th away from getting that 0.9 as well. That's how much we gained on him into the last corner. So, oh, I tell you what, I am a bit disappointed. I'm not going to lie, I am a bit disappointed because that's another one on the list I have to go back to. And I really didn't want to have to do that, to be honest, because it's a really, really difficult challenge. And I didn't want to have to do it again, but whatever, I suppose. That's that episode done, I assume. So we'll move on to the next part. And maybe this time will be Rossi, but who knows?
Bad news for Lorenzo. Rossi is not just riding better than him, he's also crashing better than him. The Italian is able to rejoin the race, while Lorenzo's bike is too badly damaged to continue. Rossi's now back in 11th. He's got 10 laps to move up the order. Down, but not out. Unlike Lorenzo, back in his garage watching you. The front four are breaking away, but 5th place looks possible. 5th means 11 points, and a 25-point lead in the championship.
Right then, so we've got to get up into 5th place from 11th. And how many laps have we got to do that in? 6 laps. So we're going to pass Canepa straight away, I think. Around the outside of Canepa, into turn 1. Yep, we have pulled that one down. Now, I've got to bear in mind that I've got slightly more worn tyres than I probably did on the last one. But we are still on the Yamaha, so the same sort of stuff should still apply. And I think we should be able to pass Tozer and Capirossi quite easily here. But then it kind of just becomes the same challenge again of just trying to bridge really big gaps to people. But I think this one probably is going to be a bit more doable because we've got more laps and it looks like the gaps are smaller as well. Which again just begs the question, why are the difficulties so different? On the inside of Tozer, that was an aggressive pass on James Tozeland, but we've done it. We're up into P9. So next up is Capirossi. So here we are then in the slipstream of Capirossi. Can we pass him down towards the chicane? At the inside we go on the brakes. Yes, we can indeed. So we're now up into 8th place, although Capirossi wanted to come back at me a little bit there, but we've got him. So we've already got the second objective, you can see, reaching 8th place before the second lap is over. So next up then is Melandri, although I've got really wide. So the brakes do seem to be a little bit worse. Maybe it's to do with the tyre wear, so I'll have to take that into account. We've got Melandri ahead of us, then it's Kallio. And somebody else just a few seconds up the road from them. I think if I ride well, I think this one's more than doable. So we've caught Melandri through the chicane. We're going to get him on the run down towards the hairpin. So we don't even actually have to use the hairpin to overtake him. We can actually use it to close up to Kallio. Although that's actually not gone to plan because we had to go offline to pass Melandri. Although we've actually still overtaken him, so I suppose it doesn't matter too much. But it probably cost us a bit of time overall. Kallio's a bit wide. So can we get Kallio? Yes, we can. I feel like we already overtook Kallio. Might have been a different challenge we're getting mixed up with. But I'm sure I passed him on a straight already or something like that. But either way, we've now got a gap to bridge ahead. It is DeAngelis and Edwards. So the two that we were, well, Edwards who we were just playing as, and obviously DeAngelis who we had to overtake in that previous challenge. And they're only 2 seconds up the road, yet we have like the same amount of time to catch them. The narrative overall seems kind of wrong though, because it's actually Tozeland that you pass for 5th place as Rossi, so I'm not exactly sure why it's DeAngelis in this instance. DeAngelis' exit from that chicane has been pretty poor. So we should get him then down towards the Melbourne Loop. A little bit of contact with DeAngelis on the entry. And we've passed him. Colin Edwards should be pretty easy pickings as well. He's run super wide. In fact, we're just going to get him on the exit here, I think. We should get him on the brake. Well, we're actually in front of him now, but we'll make sure the move is complete on the brakes into here, I would have said. There we go. So we're up into 4th place, and we've still got a lap to go. So again, it just shows you the last challenge was way harder than this one. Although my pace of this one has been pretty good. That was a 31.9. So maybe the Fiat Yamaha is a bit better than the Tech 3. Oh, I'm just got a track limits warning for that. For taking the real life line. Edwards has just crashed as well, by the way, so a bit bizarre. So coming up towards the line then, we've got 4th place Valentino Rossi at this challenge. And I think that's Donington complete, which I'm quite relieved about, but it was a pretty fun set of challenges, to be fair. And once again, they've crashed at the first corner. It just seems like every time you finish the challenge, the AI just crashes at the first corner. So bizarre, really, really weird. But yeah, I think that is Donington Park completed. So I hope you guys did enjoy that one. Again, another very strange one where the difficulties are just so bizarre and all over the place. I thought the initial first challenge we did, I thought that was quite difficult. But overall, I think once I'd got into it, I would have been able to do that one pretty easily. The second one was ridiculously easy because you had 4 laps to pass one guy. The third part was ridiculously hard because you had to gain so much time in such a little time. You had less laps than you just did then. And then this one was about right. But like I said, I hope you guys did enjoy that one. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Hope you all stay safe and I shall see you in the next one.